with just a little bit of an intro about me and us, and then we'll go into the topic of today. So for those of you who don't know me, I have and am still a tenant. I've been renting in London for over 20 years now, I think 22 years and counting. And I've lived in, I think, 10 or 12 properties in that time. So dealt with a lot of landlords, a lot of agents, seen a lot of different standards of properties. I've also been a estate and letting agent for 18 years. The last 16 of those, 16 this month. The last 16 of those have been working as an estate and letting agent, primarily in lettings. And obviously that has given me cause to see a lot of properties. Sorry, 18 years I've been an agent, 16 years since my partner and I co-founded Base Property Specialists. So that's enough waffle about me and my background. What we are here to talk about today is I'm here to try and educate landlords on why practical properties win big. It's not the sexiest of topics, but I think I can pretty much uniformly or categorically state that the most common reason we see tenants decide not to adopt a property, or indeed having taken a property decide to move out from a property, usually stems from a lack of practicality as to how that property functions. Now, what's quite interesting with the portfolio that we look after at Base is I would say probably about a third of the properties that we manage, somewhere between a quarter and a third, are clients' former homes. Now, why that is interesting is because the clients have lived there, because it's been their own home, during that time in the property, they've figured out practically how that property works. You know, where do they need to put their laundry? What do they do with their bicycles? Where do they store their suitcases? How do they keep stuff in the kitchen? And so by living in there, they've sort of solved those problems. And so when they've moved out and it's come time for us to rent that property and put a tenant in, the fact that that practicality is already there, it's already bedded into the property, it eliminates those issues. You know, we see tenants come into those properties and those properties perform the best out of our whole portfolio for two reasons. One, they tend to have a bit more character and personality than a standout rental investment, because again, having lived there, the person's given it their own stamp. But secondly, and really importantly, the practical side of living in that property has been factored into it. So look, I have put together some slides of things that we can sort of think about going through this. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Great, you can see that. And I'm now just going to hop across over to the Google Slides. Now I'll hop back and forward. Do feel free to post comments. They should come up on my computer here, and any good comments or questions, I should be able to pull them up onto the screen and answer them. But for now, I'm going to hop over to my Google Slides and I'm going to march through. So first things first, kitchen. So I think primarily there are two key areas to think about in a kitchen. So the first is storage. How does your kitchen practically work? I mean, it's exactly the same process that you're going to go through when you're designing your own kitchen. Don't think just because a property is a rental property, the demands and requirements that your tenants are going to have on that property are fundamentally going to be any different to how they were if you were living in the property. And so really how you make that kitchen work as well as possible for the people living in there. So one of the things that's really popular at the moment is these sort of larder style cupboards. They make really good use of storage space. As you can see in this image, you've got drawers down the bottom, you've got shelving in the doors, you've got shelving in there. Quite often they have power points in, so you can tuck some of your sort of some of your appliances, as you can see in here, and where you quite often find microwaves and blenders and kettles and things tucked in there, so that when that's closed, not only is it practical for all that stuff, when it's closed, out of sight, out of mind. In your drawers, in your cupboards, practical ways of storing, laying out, keeping all the stuff. On the right hand image, you can see you've got these very cool racks that go on the back of kitchen cabinets. You've got drawer systems that pull out. Now, the reason drawers that pull out are really, really good is rather than people having to get down on their knees and reach to the back of a cupboard to find something, usually for it to be forgotten for weeks or months on end, when you've got something that you can pull out, you can see everything in the drawer, it's easy to get to, it's easy to see what you've got in there. And all of these things that would appeal to you living in your own home, they're going to appeal to your tenants. And if it appeals to your tenants, what you'll find is, look, a first-time tenant might not pick up on this stuff. A student tenant might, they'll probably come in and be like, is the bedroom big enough and is it on budget and can I get to college on time? That's not going to be a highest priority for them. But for the majority of your tenants now, and look, let's be honest, more and more people now have accepted that renting is their living choice, or not even choice. It's their living circumstances for the foreseeable future. Most tenants want to be happy in their home. Most tenants don't want to bounce around. And the thing that is going to keep your tenant really happy in the long term and is going to secure those really good practical long-term tenants is solutions like these. So, little pull-out spice racks next to the cooker. The middle one is a shelving system from IKEA, which is all modular. So you can have lots of different shelves. You can have metal shelves, wooden shelves, rails, hooks, you name it. We've actually just put one of those systems into our the latest refurb we did at Base. And they actually do one with like a drying rack shelf on it. So we've actually done that on the wall above the sink. It gets all the it's a really small kitchen, so it got all of the plates out of the way and they hang on a drying rack above the sink, so it drips into the sink but doesn't take up vital workspace. You've got what they call these sort of pull-out larders. So again, anything that just brings that practicality in terms of storage. And then the other two areas of practicality, really, that I think with kitchens, these are probably the two appliances that cause the greatest number of questions with tenants. Does it have a dishwasher? Now, I can probably count on my fingers how many of our properties no longer have dishwashers. I don't think it matters if it's a studio flat or a 5-bed house, and whether it's an ex-council property or a luxury flat. The vast majority of our properties have dishwashers. And the reality is every property, if it can fit it, should have a dishwasher, whether it's full size, whether it's slimline. Actually, truth be told, they don't hold a massively different amount between the two of them. I lived for years with a slimline dishwasher, and it was absolutely fantastic. But if your property doesn't have one of these, it's something you've really, really, really got to think about. And the other thing is fridges. Now, I know what you're thinking. What kitchen doesn't have a fridge? Of course, every kitchen has a fridge. If your kitchen doesn't have a fridge, I know there are tenancies around a lot of the UK that don't do appliances, and fair enough. For those areas, ignore this little topic conversation about appliances. But in London and a lot of other parts of the country, appliances are expected with the property. Now, like I said, every property comes with a fridge. But what kind of fridge? I mean, I've seen landlords rent 4 or 5 bedroom houses with a single small under-counter fridge that, one person would struggle to use, and yet they're expecting 5 people to share that. I mean, even a standard single fridge isn't going to cut it in a household like that. I've seen tenants have to buy 1 or 2 of their own fridges to add into that, which then cramps the space that they're living in. And they're not good appliances, because they buy cheap and they break down. And then, at some point they've got to be dealt with and disposed of. So, when you're doing your kitchen, think about how many people are going to be living in your property typically. And, what are their demands going to be? I mean, again, if you have a house that you rent out, if you have a family living there, then I would say actually probably the demands on that fridge are going to be less, or they're going to be more consolidated because you've got a family unit, than if you rent your property out to 4 sharers who are each going to have their own food. They're going to want their own section of the fridge for their stuff, their own section of the freezer for their stuff, their own kitchen cupboard for their dry goods. It all just comes down to practicality. If this was you, how would you want that kitchen to work? Hi, Ian. Thanks for joining us. So I think that's going to be my last slide on kitchens. Yeah. Now, the second big one, laundry. I think this is probably one of the really big debates when people come to see properties with us is what are the laundry setups. Now, I would say probably half of our property stock have just a single standalone washing machine, not a washer dryer combi, just a washing machine, very straightforward function, pretty cheap, pretty simple, typically in the kitchen. And that's fine, that's great. But, what are your tenants meant to do with regards to drying their stuff? Now, I think we look after somewhere in the region of 220, 230 tenancies at base. And I can only think of 2 or maybe 3 properties that we have where they have a separate washing machine and tumble dryer. Now, I know what you're saying as landlords. Look, we're not made of money. A decent tumble dryer is not cheap, 300-400 quid in reality. But what you've got to think about is what that means to your tenants. The properties where we've got a tumble dryer, that is a big win. We've seen people pick those properties over competing properties because they're the only one with a tumble dryer. There's give and takes on different ones, but that's a big one. And I think a lot of people, their default position is, but who's got room for that? The average flat in London is about 700 square foot. The houses in the UK aren't big either. But I mean, that's why I picked these 3 images, because I think what these 3 images beautifully show is that you don't need a lot of space. If you double stack your appliances on top of each other, actually footprint wise, they take up the same amount of space as a washing machine. It's very, very common, particularly in Europe, to have those appliances in the bathroom. I know in England, we tend to have these in the kitchen, which I kind of get if you're limited on space. I mean, look, it's there. You've got your electrics, you've got your plumbing for the kitchen sink and everything. Kind of makes sense, although I've always thought from a social standpoint, it's not the greatest, unless you're putting the washing machine on, when you're going out to work or whatever. That really sort of, if you live in an open plan flat, having your washing machine going really imposes on your living space. So what's really common in Europe is to have them in bathrooms, which is the middle and right hand image show here. Little cupboard spaces built into your bathroom. Again, you've got all your essentials in a bathroom, your water supply and drainage and electricity. So, maybe next time you are redesigning your bathroom, maybe it's time to have a think about that. So Ian's come up with a comment here. Ian Crumpton from Ferndown states, we don't offer appliances as a rule in our properties, different market where we're at. What would you say would be the increase in rent on a property that is offered with no appliances to one that's got a full range of appliances? Okay, so interesting point there, Ian. I think it's down to markets. I think in London, I just don't see properties without appliances, really. It's insanely rare unless we're looking at very specific sort of houses and typically quite high-end houses where people will bring that stuff with them. But I don't see a price point difference in London, Ian, because we just don't see properties without appliances. I think in London, I mean, for us, our average rent on our portfolio is around the £2,000 a month mark. So what we're looking at, sort of 460 a week, something like that. And that will typically be a 2-bedroom property. People who are spending that sort of money, they just expect this stuff to all come as standard where we are. So I don't think per se, I couldn't comment on London whether there's a difference between having or not having in terms of price difference. What I can comment on is I do think there is a price difference between properties that get the appliances right and properties that get the appliances wrong. And I would say, look, I would find it very, very hard to pin a percentage because I don't have any stats to pin a percentage on that. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a property achieve 5% more in rent. But I think where the big wins are with pretty much everything I'm talking about today, it's about a reduction of void, either by driving up the desirability due to practicality of the property or the extended stay of a tenant, because it works. You know, they've got everything they want there. Everything has its place. Everything works smoothly. The appliances are in good working order and are well maintained. And that, you know, that tenant stays, particularly if they've rented a few properties before and they've had hard work with those. You know, things have really frustrated them. Things don't work well. They end up with their whole flat looking like a Chinese laundry. You know, so I think the main win for landlords in everything I'm talking about is in the voids. I think there will be an uptick on rent if you were getting various ones of these right. But again, I think that would be particular to that property and that sort of competing market. But, you know, if you adopt everything that I'm talking about in this, I think you can assure yourself that you should be getting near the top end of your market, if not the very top end of your market, in terms of rent. And the desirability due to the practicality of property should mean that your voids should be one of the lowest in your local community. So I hope that answers your question a bit there, Ian. Not directly, but in a roundabout way. So moving forward with some of these slides. So yeah, you know, the tumble dryer is one thing. Now, if you're not going to have a tumble dryer, a solution for your tenants to dry their clothes, you know, don't undervalue what such a simple thing can do. Because I know for tenants, when tenants are living in properties, they hate having laundry everywhere. If you're sharing a house, you don't want a living room with all your pants and socks hanging over it whilst your housemates are there bringing friends round. You don't want stuff draped all over the radiators. I've also seen, you know, we see it quite commonly at properties, radiators get marked because either people put those sort of hanging racks on a radiator and that scratches them over time, or someone will drape something over a radiator that will have heavy dye in it and they'll end up sort of part dyeing the radiator. Over time as well, the moisture does tend to cause rust on radiators over time. So again, for you guys as maintenance, it's just not great. So again, anything you can do to bring some sort of practicality to a laundry solution is great. So, I mean, these were two that I found online, which I thought were absolutely brilliant. You've got a sort of really simple rope winch rack system. Now, I've actually got something similar to this in my home. I don't actually use it for laundry, but we actually use it for sort of kitchen utensils, and also we hang a bunch of plants off it as well. But, you know, two really good sturdy screws in the ceiling, and off you go. They don't tend to be expensive. They're really easy to winch up and down. And quite often for tenants as well, it's about just getting that stuff out of the way. Again, like I said, if you're living in a 700 square foot flat with 2 or 3 people, do you really want a couple of clothes horses taking up a quarter of your living space? No, is the honest answer to that. So, you've got ceiling rack solutions. If you've got a place that is practical to put those, like I said, I've got them in my property. That's because I've got 2 light wells either end of my property, which is sort of dead space. So they're perfect. They suspend over space if they don't get used. But I really love the right-hand one because that clothes horse there, that is your typical clothes horse that I will see in 90% of our rentals, these sort of pop-up crisscross clothes horse ones. But I thought that was just a really great solution, really simple, just a slide out drawer with one of those on. You can put your clothes on it. And then when you want them outside, if you've got your laundry out, if you've got friends coming around, you just close the drawer, shut the drawer, close the doors, and it's like it's not there. You can enjoy your home in sort of peaceful harmony. And then when your friends leave, pull it back out to help it dry a bit quickly. None of these things are rocket science. And again, I think it just comes back to how you would want to live in a property yourself. So next is bicycles. Now, look, if you're not already thinking about bicycles before now, you really need to be thinking about bicycles now. And particularly if you're a landlord in a city. Riding a bicycles has been massively on the ascendancy for the last 10, 15 years in terms of sort of commuter solutions. The current COVID and Corona crisis is going to focus down on this even more. The bottom line is the government wants to avoid, and most people, I think, for themselves, are going to want to avoid going anywhere near public transport for the foreseeable future. You know, why do you want to be crammed on a train or a tube or a bus with 100 other people whose health status you don't know, when you can hop on your own bike and in a similar amount of time be at work, but have got a bit of exercise, have got a bit of fresh air, and have stayed away from pretty much anyone else. You can practice your social distancing. Now, you know, bicycles, I think for most adults, I'd be surprised if an adult is spending less than a couple of £100 on a bike. We've got lots of tenants who have over 4-figure bicycles. They're either mad keen into their road cycling, or, you know, they've decided that's going to be their main mode of transport. So why not spoil themselves a little bit? But it is not uncommon to have a tenant or tenants with £1,000 plus bicycles each. So, you know, these aren't bikes that they're going to want to just chuck a chain around and leave out in the rain in the front or back garden. They're going to want to take care of these bicycles, and equally, they're going to want to take care of your property. Now, that's another thing you've got to think about, is if you don't find a solution for your tenants' bicycles, you know, they've still got the bicycle. That is how they get around. So they are just going to end up bringing that bike into your house, scraping it down the walls, scratching the walls, scuffing the walls, blackening it with their tire marks. None of it's intentional. None of it's careless. It's just a fact of matter. You know, it's human nature. The first week or two they bring the bike in, they'll be really, really careful. But I can guarantee you 6 months down the line, when they come in and they've cycled home in the pouring rain, they're not going to be taking that perfect due care, gently walking it down the corridor and gently lying it against the wall. You know, they're going to come dashing in the door and shove it against the wall. And so it's really up to you to figure out how you solve that problem, because there's another issue with that. It's the tenants bringing it in, but it also can create fire hazards if you've got tenants keeping their bicycles in hallways and entrance areas. You know, is that causing a possible hazard if there's a fire and tenants need to escape? So, you know, why not think about how you help these tenants? Now, if you have got a front or back garden that is readily accessible, simple. Get yourself get a little bicycle rack. You know, you can go for something super simple, just like a hoop someone can chain their bike to, and you know, if they do have a high value bike, they can sort of put a cover over it and chain it, and it's secure. I think it'd be really nice if you can provide some sort of covered bicycle care. But you know, we deal with a lot of apartments in London, so front and back gardens are not an option. So, you know, have a think. You know, I love this one with the staircase of the dead space under the stairs. If you're not going to use it for storage, you're not going to use it for something else, hang your bikes underneath it, you know, get them out the way. Really simple metal rack on the side, just to double stack a couple of racks. I thought these were great as well. You know, the one on the left, really simple. I think those racks are about 15, 20 pounds. It's literally just a black or a metal tube that you fix to the wall. They've put a board up to protect the wall. Really simple. And again, really clever. And there you go, up and out the way. It's still in the hallway, but, you know, it's not blocking the footpath, you know. And on the right-hand side, you've got a really nice, funky bookshelf. Nice, solid wooden bookshelf. Screw it on the wall. Bike hangs on it. Pop your books on top. It looks cool. Even if you've got tenants without a bike, that's not going to look out of place. You know, it's just a nice bookshelf for people to use. So, you know, bicycles is a huge thing, you know, and I think it's going to become more and more and more of a focus for tenants. So, you know, it all just comes down to another area you need to think about. Now, the next slide I've already brought up, closed storage. I think from my experience with most of our properties, what we usually find with a landlord's approach to wardrobe storage is it usually stems from what is the bare minimum I can provide a tenant with. And that's not a criticism, okay? It's a business. As a landlord, you're there to make money. And when you're placing a tenancy, there are a lot of expenses. You know, the biggest one probably being our fees in our case. And, you know, then you've got mortgages and whatever other requests and requirements your tenants have had, and compliance and everything else. And I can appreciate that, you know, the difference between spending 200 quid on a single wardrobe or spending 500, 600, 700 quid on something more like we see in the pictures here, you know, a multi-unit with shoe rack storage and drawers for belts and jewelry, and long full length hanging for coats and dresses, and short, you know, half length for suits, and you name it. And it, you know, again, it just comes back to this thing of what would you want in your home, because fundamentally that is what is going to make your tenants happy. And the thing is, look, the cheap wardrobes that a lot of our landlords buy, that they are cheap. You know, they're cheap for a reason. They're built cheaply. They don't last. I think we'll probably see those wardrobes last somewhere between 3 to 5 years at best, before, you know, they start getting chips on them and the veneers started peeling off and one of the hinges is gone, and you know, they're made cheap, so they last cheap. But actually, if you spend that extra sort of 300, 400, 500 quid, yes, it's a big outlay at that moment in time, but you get a lot for that money. You're not just getting more wardrobe. You're not just getting double the size wardrobe. You're getting a better quality. And I'm not talking solid mahogany or, you know, anything expensive. You know, yet again, you know, let's talk about the obvious one, IKEA. Their range of wardrobes are amazing. They're really solidly built. They're put together right. They're mounted to the wall right. That thing should last you a lifetime. And they've got uncountable sort of solutions and options and customizations with all the different clothes rails and drawers and everything else. So you can literally create a really comprehensive, far-ranging solution that is going to make every tenant you put in that property absolutely delighted. And look, you might think, you know, it's not going to be that big a deal. They're not going to be that fussed. You'd be amazed. I've seen so many tenants move out of properties that fundamentally they like the property, they love the area they're in, just the lack of practicality of the property has driven them to the point of distraction where they just aren't willing to put up with it anymore, and they do go and move somewhere else because they finally have a decent wardrobe they can store all their clothes in, that don't get dusty and crumpled and don't end up shoved in a box under their bed. You know, that they do have somewhere to store their bike, that they do have somewhere to hang their laundry properly. They do have a kitchen that works practically, particularly if they like to cook. You know, if there's someone who likes to cook and there's lots of tins and spices and this, that, and the other, you know, they want a kitchen that they can enjoy and entertain in. And all of these things come back to the same thing. The thing that makes you happy in your own home is the same thing that is going to make your tenants happy in your rented home. And that happiness is what is going to drive down your void and drive up the rent you achieve. And fundamentally, what two things are you trying to achieve as a landlord other than, nearly lost the laptop then, minimum voids and, highest rent achievable. So moving on from wardrobes, as you can see, another one that people often forget to consider is bin storage. Either the provision of bins full stop. So, you know, we've had tenants move into property and they have to go and buy their own kitchen bin. They have to go and buy a plastic dustbin for outside. Not only is that sort of a bit begrudging, because that does feel like a fundamental sort of utility of the property, but also typically they're damn ugly. So, you know, for them, they're not appealing. For the neighbours, they're not appealing. It just doesn't look nice, you know. And I think what you find is the more your tenant loves the property, the greater care they're going to take of it. The more special a tenant realizes that your property is, the more unique it is, the more boxes it ticks, the more those tenants are going to know that they're onto something really, really special. Excuse me. And so all of these things, I mean, the images that we've got on here, none of this is expensive stuff. We're not talking about rocket science. As you can see, the 4 pictures on the right is just 3 really standard bins, a couple, they're probably like council supplied bins with just a really simple pine sort of chest cupboard built around it. But, you know, if you look at that top right picture of the 4, how nice does that look rather than having 3 plastic bins outside? and if you've got a nice area around that, then your tenants are likely to keep that. And again, on the right hand side, we've got probably what is likely to be a Victorian or Edwardian house at the top right hand corner with those beautiful tiled fronts. And again, all they've done is, using some slatting, just had someone build a really simple storage cupboard. None of this is actually going to be particularly expensive. The one below, similarly, very similar design. They've put a bit of AstroTurf on top, or grass. I'm not sure whether it's real or fake or not. But again, it just pretties it up. I've got a house around the corner from me, and it's a little muse of new build houses, and they've all got open bin stores, apart from this one house, which has put a sort of metal shelving unit over the top of the bin, covered it in plants, and it looks absolutely stunning. You barely know that the bins are there, and compared to every other house, it looks absolutely lovely. And guess what? If you've got somewhere to put the bin, guess where your bin ends up being each time? Where it should be, kept clean and tidy. And obviously bins goes inside the household as well. So like I said, freestanding bins. Don't necessarily rush out to buy the cheapest, crappiest pedal bin you can to put in your rental property. Yes, I know bins take a bit of a knocking, but they particularly suffer from that if they're cheap. The mechanisms break down, they get dented and scratched really easily. So, look at the one on the left. What a cool little bin. It's got a little fresh compartment in the top, so it gets rid of odors. You've got a recycling section at the bottom. When that's all closed, that's going to actually look nice in the kitchen. It doesn't have to be hidden away, and it's practical. What does that bin cost? 120, 150 quid, I'm guessing, something like that. But what a quality piece of kit. And again, provide a quality piece of kit, you can have an expectation of your tenants to maintain it and look after that. You've got plenty of under cupboard storage solutions, pull out bins, whether it be on a wheel mechanism, on a straight drawer mechanism, rubbish, recycling, etc. Again, how would you want the bins to work in your kitchen? And just, your tenants are going to be the same. Your tenants want those bins out of sight, out of mind. They want them nice and neat and tidy. They want them where they need them, when they need them. They don't want them to take up too much space. They don't want them to stink out the kitchen. They want to be able to easily empty them and change them. Just give your tenants the same sort of facilities like I said, you would expect within a property. And so that's it, really. That is all the slides. I'm going to bring me back to full screen. Heidi ho. So that's really it. That's, those are the different areas. Don't stop there. Obviously, the practicality of a property is far reaching. I haven't even talked about bathrooms. Bathroom storage, again, is usually an area that is massively lacking in a lot of the rental properties we see. Good, decent, practical storage. PowerPoints in the bathroom for, toothbrushes, shavers, etc. Again, what do you have in your bathroom at home? How useful do you find it? Wouldn't it be great for your tenants if you had that in the bathroom? Do you have a loft which you've not taken advantage of? Why not spend a little bit of money and get it boarded, get a loft ladder put in, let your tenants have access to it for storage? Again, another thing that we see our tenants get really frustrated with is what do they do with their stuff that they don't need? So whether that's seasonal, whether that's like their winter stuff when it's summer and vice versa, whether that is their suitcases, particularly if they have moved over here from abroad, they're probably going to have quite a lot of boxes and storage things and suitcases and stuff that they traipse from house to house every time they move. How awesome if they've got somewhere decent to put that, rather than stuffing it under the bed or stacking it on top of the wardrobes where everyone sees it 24/7. So look, I don't think I've told you guys anything that you didn't already know, but I think the tendency for both landlords and also their sort of property consultants, their agents, is to brush over this side of stuff, because like I said, it's not sexy. Quite often you can be looking at quite a bit of investment, particularly if you're going to address sort of all the things I've said. And actually, when you come to show a property visually, a lot of this stuff's going to be hidden, right? The bins are going to be in the bin cupboard. The storage racks are going to be in the cupboard under the stairs and blah, blah, blah. But that's where it is down to you as a landlord, or if you're using an agent, it's down to your agent to make sure that all those funny little things are pointed out. You know, these are the things that are really, like I said, going to make your tenant super, super happy. It's going to make them want to live in your property, and more importantly, want to stay in your property, because they know there is nothing to compete with that. So look, that is it. I've run 5 minutes over the intended half hour, but hopefully that has been a bit useful. If you missed any of today, recordings of this will be available on our base YouTube and Facebook page, but also will be available on the Agents Here to Help Facebook and YouTube page, as well as available on the agentsheretohelp.com website, where you can also find out about the next upcoming events. I think you can usually see the 4 next events scheduled in there. You can search through the historical content from the other amazing agents that are doing stuff on here to help you. So very simple. We've got 4 categories on there: landlords, tenants, buyers, sellers. Whichever one of those 4 categories you fall into, check back with our website regularly. Subscribe to the social media channels on like I said, Facebook, YouTube. I think they're on Instagram, LinkedIn. Pretty much any social media channel you want, you can subscribe to the content created by some amazing agents from up and down the country. And look, you know, most of them are about half an hour long, and you can jump in and out and learn what you need to. There was a fantastic one yesterday with Maurice Kilbride from up north, and the guys from Gazelle, talking about how to get your property ready to sell, which is a huge thing. You know, so yeah, look, lots of content. Make sure you take advantage of it. It's all here. It's all free. And also send us what you want to learn about more. You know, we've got over 100 agents in this group waiting to give you the help and advice that you need. So if there's a question you have that isn't being answered by the content we've already got, email us, get in touch with our social media, send us your questions. We can only answer what we think you need to know. So get those questions into us, and we'll get the content that you need up as quick as we can. Otherwise, all that is left to say is happy VE Day. Wishing everyone a fabulous Friday bank holiday. So enjoy your 3-day weekend, and yeah, see you guys on the other side. Take care. Bye.